When this started, actually at the beginning of March, we were very, very fearful of what we would have to do. And our volumes started depleting out of the business for, just as soon as it started to hit. And we needed to keep operating, and that's one of the things that has happened since we started in March is our frontline workers have been able to keep our trains running, even though it's been at a reduced volume. I couldn't say enough about their commitment and their ability to make things happen in most dire circumstances. Really couldn't. What we did is obviously we took advantage of the government's furlough scheme, and we did in fact have to furlough employees, but we have not made anyone redundant as a result of that, and we are actually at this point, volumes are starting to come back, and we're making a commitment to bring those people back to work, and we're doing it right now with the idea to have both our individuals and our equipment back in service as soon as possible.
Freightliner is really keen to support rail's zero carbon agenda, and so acquisition of the Class 90s pushes our electric fleet into the future, enables us to continue to haul freight up and down the rail network by electric traction, which is as close to carbon zero as we can get. Of course, that doesn't mean that the Class 86s are permanently retired. We're still hopeful that there will be a continued growth of electrification across the network that will allow us to continue to expand our electrically hauled freight services into the future. Although that fundamentally they were built as a mixed traffic freight, passenger and freight locomotive, so most of the work is associated with the draw gear and the buffer ends to remove the vestibule supports and so on, and put in freight couplings and freight environments, updating the TDM communication systems that we use so that we can multiple them, but also actually because we're multipling them and putting in current limiter restrictions so that we don't draw too much power from the network when we haul double-headed freight trains. Freight performance has been transformed. In fact, the rail network general performance has been transformed with just slightly fewer trains on the network, and that's really opened up the opportunity for moving bigger and heavier freight trains through some of the pinch points that traditionally lie there. So for certain, we're looking to the future, and we're looking to work with Network Rail and figure out how we can continue that strive for longer, heavier trains, just given the carbon agenda and given what the freight trains can do in terms of taking lorries off the road. One freight train takes typically 76 lorries off the road, and it can reduce the carbon emissions of moving freight by 76% gross tonne mile. So yeah, absolutely it's the right way forward, and we're excited by the prospect. The electrification of the UK rail network is predominantly built around key passenger corridors, and some good freight infill sections can really open up the network for us for moving freight and connecting those key passenger corridors and using the freight network. So that will make a massive difference. And then combined with sort of newer technology, shunting into yards and sidings, clearly you can't load freight trains through electric wires. So having the ability for things like battery shunt locomotives or shunt locomotives at other locations in order for us to service those yards and sidings is absolutely key and critical for us.
It is an investment in the future. I mean, we bought a fleet of electric locomotives actually from one of the transit operating companies, and this is one of those, and we've repainted it, we've refurbed it, and we have several more that we need to do in order to make our commitment to a green economy and actually reducing our carbon footprint for the industry. Being carbon neutral by 2030 would be something that would be spectacular for the whole industry, and we're making a commitment to that right now with our purchase of electric locomotives. This is another example of that. We always want to have more freight on rail. Actually, when you go around, you see all the lorries. Our commitment to having lorries move and the modal shift from road to rail is a purpose that we are constantly committed to, and hopefully that continues.